It's Tuesday, September 12th, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Beal. We have a great show in store for you today. On today's show, we will show you part one of a three-part series covering the upcoming Cape Tech vote. First, we will hear from Cape Cod Regional Technical High School Superintendent Robert Sanborn about the plans to build a new school. Yesterday was 9/11, and our Channel 18 cameras were at the Hyannis Fire Department to cover their 16th annual memorial service of 9/11. But first, let's get a look at today's top headlines. The town is looking for your feedback regarding existing and future use of town fields and courts. The Department of Public Works is holding an informational session regarding the town-wide comprehensive field study. The informational session will be held on September 21st at 5:30 p.m. at the Barnstable Senior Center. The meeting will include a presentation on the project and an opportunity for questions and comments. The town has completed the 2016 program year of the Community Development Block Grant and is now preparing the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, also known as CAPER. The draft CAPER is available for review today, September 12th, on the town's website. There will be a public meeting tomorrow, September 13th, for review and public comment on the draft. That will be held at 3 p.m. in the Planning and Development Conference Room here at Town Hall. If you are a voter in the town of Barnstable and will not be here on September 19th, please come into the town clerk's office and vote by absentee ballot. If your son or daughter is away at college and is registered to vote in Barnstable, you can fill out a request for an absentee ballot, which will be sent to them right away. Are you looking for a way to give back to the community? There are seats open on several boards, committees, and commissions here in the town of Barnstable. The Zoning Board of Appeals, the Barnstable Youth Commission, the Golf Committee, the Agricultural Commission, and others all have seats open. To learn more and download an application, you can visit the town's website and click through to the Appointments Committee. Up next is the first part in our three-part series on the upcoming Cape Tech vote. We hear from Cape Cod Regional Technical High School Superintendent Robert Sanborn.
Today we're glad to be talking to Robert Sanborn, the Superintendent and Director for the Cape Cod Regional Technical High School. And you have a really big project coming up within the next few months, and actually it's going to be years in the making, but why don't you tell us a little bit about how things got started?
Yeah, we're coming to the culmination of a 4 to 5 year endeavor of working with our 12 towns. In January of 2015, the Mass School Building Authority, MSBA, you'll hear that acronym a lot, brought us into what's known as their core program. And the core program looks at the building from the top to the bottom. And at the beginning of that process, what we did was we formed a team. And that was first our school building committee, which is 25 members strong, representing all 12 towns with the exception of Provincetown. We do not have a representative from there at this time. And they were presented by the architectural team of Drummy, Roseanne, and Anderson, and owner's project manager, that's our team, SBC, School Building Committee, architect, and owner's project manager. One of the first three things that you need to do with the school building. And then we went into feasibility. And soon after that, they were presented with 7 different alternatives for the new vocational technical high school in Harwich, whether it be renovation or new. And quite frankly, I was entering this project, the core program, thinking reconstruction, or renovation, I should say. Mm-hmm. But the committee was presented with a renovation of the existing square footage, and then it was presented with a renovation addition, which would have been a major addition off the front of the building. And with an addition, at least there's some swing space to move students in and around. Then also there was a renovation that ripped the face off our building, and then added some square footage to improve the facility. They also presented 4 new options, on all 4 sides, north, east, west, and south.
I was going to say, it looked like a compass when you were showing it on August 17th at Town Council.
Correct. So we can talk about the new. First of all, the new, it was pretty easy to eliminate 3 of the 4. The top one, the north one, is right next to a residential neighborhood. So that was one of the criteria that they looked at. Disruption to neighbors was one of the 7 criteria that the school building committee looked at. They also looked at, to the west, was on our current septic system. That's not something you want to entertain. Right. And then it was a low-lying area on our current football field, which would have disrupted the football field. So the new option, which was ultimately what was selected by the school building committee, was what we now affectionately know as C2, which is the east side. It sits highest on the property. It does not disrupt any of the educational plan was the #1 driver. Educational vision, educational opportunities for students. Second on the criteria list was cost. They also looked at enrollment because we're an admissions school, and what impact would it have on enrollment and also disruption to the educational process. The 3 renovation options would take almost 4 years, and they would be happening within the current, as we're trying to educate students. You can't relocate an auto tech shop. So when cost became very close with new and renovation, the renovation options became very obvious that new construction would probably be the way to go, because you'd be interrupting education. You would be opening a Pandora's box of a 43-year-old building that could have other issues. And I should step back. The current facility, those of you who in the audience have seen it, it's nice looking. It's in good shape. We've been good stewards of the taxpayers' money, but it is obsolete. From an educational point of view, it was built with an open concept on our 1st and 3rd floors, so we had to put up walls over the years. The entire facade, the building envelope, the brick is porous, and we did some testing, and there's a lot of infiltration of water through that porous brick over these 43 years. There's a lot of evidence on our south side that there's evidence of spalling where the brick starts to pop. So the expense of fixing all the issues, the open concept, the entire building envelope, before you even really got inside the building and started to fix the minimum square footages that don't exist, the DESE minimum square footage requirements, ADA compliance, code requirements for plumbing and electrical, the price was just about the same. So the school building committee on November 3rd chose a new option, C2, to the east side of our facility, because cost became a factor that was almost the same, renovation versus new. With new construction, there will be no disruption to education. The building will be going up as students are still continuing to learn in our existing facility.
We have a vote coming up on October 24th.
Correct.
In the 12 district towns.
Yep.
And that vote will be from 12 noon until 8 p.m.
That's correct.
And it's to say yes or no as to whether or not the residents will approve going forward with this project.
That's correct. Really what it does is it authorizes us to take on the debt for the project. But a yes vote, it would be definitely in support of the project. The reason we're voting in this manner is not a Cape Cod Tech decision. It's our regional agreement with the 12 towns.
Okay.
The regional agreement calls for Chapter 7116N, small n, which is exactly this, a district-wide vote, this time on October 24th, 2017, noon to 8, as you said. And it's a majority vote. Quite often we're used to a town-by-town up or down vote. That is not the case. With our regional agreement, we have to borrow this way, get approval to borrow this way, and it's with this district-wide vote on October 24th.
Now, what happens if there's a no vote?
If there is a no vote, then we'll have to go back to square one. I think the first thing, and I don't really want to entertain this eventuality, but I've got to in the back of my head, and it would be trying to keep the MSBA as a partner. That would not be a foregone conclusion. There are situations where there have been multiple votes in different, especially for the vocational technical schools. But I hope that doesn't happen, because construction costs are not going down, they're going up. So this number would probably get worse. And if we didn't have $40 million coming from the state, which really isn't a great percentage, quite frankly. I'm not overly happy with the overall percentage we're getting from the MSBA, but it's a partner.
I was going to say, and that was one of the things I was going to ask, if you could explain the value of going through this process. And it's taking a lot of time,
yes,
but there's dollars attached to it. So there's skin in the game on the part of the Commonwealth.
Correct. Right. The $127 million project that we've been talking about, it's a scary number, and there's no doubt vocational technical education and the facilities that house it are more expensive. But $86 million of this project will be on the 12 towns, because of a partner with the Mass School Building Authority. So about $40 million, a little over $41 million will be coming from the state to defray some of the costs. So if it were a no vote, I would work to try to continue to have a partnership with the Mass School Building Authority. Obviously, they look at community support. I think they've been happy with our efforts, because we do submit things like this. We submit to them to show how we're reaching out to the community. As I said, this process started 4 or 5 years ago. We've applied to the MSBA 4 times before we got in January of 2015, and it was kind of bringing on our legislative delegation into the process. And we were presenting to the towns, all 12 towns, what the status of our facility was as we were doing those early applications, that the windows and the doors and the brick would need replacement. And then we got in January 2015, and the work we've kind of described here today is how we got to where we want to do our due diligence on our programming. So where do I see some changes? I see it, we're going to be more organized around clusters of different programs that have similarities. I think we're going to branch into medical assisting in our health technologies program, which has typically been CNA certification. I see our graphic arts program, which is almost in name, it's graphic arts, but it's really design and visual communication.
Through computers and
yes, yeah, everything from the beginning, working with the client, all the way through design. Using the software products that are needed on an Apple platform, and then we also have the ability to produce those, the end product in that. So it goes from the beginning to the end process. Those are the big tweaks. We're also trying to integrate academics and technical programming with this project in our educational plan. Our students do see the relevance of academics, I think, more than that question, why am I learning this?
Right.
Quite often they're able to see it because of their technical programming, but our building is very divided from where a academic classroom would be and a technical so an academic teacher and a technical teacher don't have an opportunity to even run into each other very often. The design of this building will allow for much more collaboration and project-based learning on the academic side and the technical side.
That's great. So it's affecting the entire student and not just putting things in silos.
Correct.
Very good.
Correct.
Very good.
I think people still have a notion that a vocational technical high school, if you haven't walked into one, is a place where training is the only thing going on. As I said earlier, the academic piece is just as important for the ability to learn new skills if needed. We're under all the same mandates for the MCAS that a traditional high school is under. Our delivery system, meaning vocational technical education in Massachusetts, this model where academics and technical programming are in the same building, is called the Cadillac, has been called the Cadillac by Harvard School of Education because of the relevance piece that we talked about earlier. So, yeah.
So it's the add-ons. So you still have the 2400, but then you have all the other add-ons.
Right. If you just think of an auto dealership, or sorry, service center. When you go into an auto service center and just take a look around at all the equipment in there. We've got to have very close to that to simulate the workplace, because that's what we're primarily about, is equipping students to go either to college for further training in what we've been teaching them, or right into the workforce.
Okay. Is there anything that you think that we're missing that you'd like the residents of Barnstable to know?
Well, we talked about that the 86 million, which is on the total on the 12 towns. We've talked about that it's about $40 per thousand on the average home in the town of Barnstable. And as was stated in the paper, I think by Mark Milne, that with debt coming off, that has about a $10 to $12 impact on the tax rate for the average single-family home in Barnstable.
One of the things that we haven't talked about is that Barnstable's share is based upon the percentage of students that are currently enrolled. And so we have approximately 30% of the students that are enrolled in Cape Cod Tech from Barnstable.
That's correct. And one question that has been asked to me is that static? Does that stay the same? And it does not. Capital costs are apportioned by enrollment percentage on a year-to-year basis. So if Barnstable goes down in percentage, the payment would go down. Okay. And likewise if it goes up. So all capital costs are apportioned on an annual basis, once again by our regional agreement, by enrollment percentage. But going back to one other thing you mentioned, you said, do you have anything else to say? And it's the skills gap. I shared with the council on August 17th about the Northeastern study that talks about the need for the programming that we offer. All the vocational technical schools around the state. Many of us teach the same different disciplines. There's differences, about 46, 47 different Chapter 74 programs that vocational technical schools around the state offer. And then you have the agricultural schools that offer even more programming. But, most of us offer auto tech, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, health technologies, many of us. If you think of the ones that we offer for this region, they're high demand jobs, whether it's high growth or replacement workers. Just recently, and I shared with the council on the 17th about the average age of an electrician right now, and you've tried to get an electrician,
Yes.
is 58 years old. We need replacements. And we're not going to solve that problem by building this building completely.
Right.
But the need for a vocational technical high school, and we're regionalized. Remember that we're regionalized. I know this is expensive to your listeners and taxpayers, but we were regionalized to offer some economies of scale so that you wouldn't have to create many vocational technical high schools in all the sending districts, which would be a much more expensive proposition than regionalizing.
As we're getting ready to finish up here, why don't you tell us some of your communication going forward to get you to the October 24th?
Well, our communication strategy was to start in September and all the way for an 8-week communication blitz, if you will, for those 2 months. Because as we know on the Cape, 60% of the people that are here in the summer are not from here.
Right.
And a lot of people aren't paying attention, unfortunately. So September and October were going to be very, very important months. And I've got on my calendar shows like this. I've just done WXTK this morning. I've been on Matt Pitta's show that runs on the Sunday shows, which I've done all throughout the process. Every time we got new news on the MSBA. In Barnstable specifically, the Osterville Village Association, the West Barnstable Civic Association, and the Centerville Civic Association are on my docket in the next month or so. And I remain open to all the counselors in their precincts if there's things, places they want me to go and I can get there, or a representative. And then also I see workshops happening in that 8-week period from September through October through the vote with our team. Regional, not town at 12, but probably 3 or 4 in different parts of the Cape.
Very good. Well, we're extremely grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to us today, and we look forward to talking to you again sometime in the near future.
Excellent. I appreciate the opportunity.
Great. This is Lynn Poyant, and our guest today has been Robert Sanborn, the Superintendent Director for the Cape Cod Regional Technical High School.
Now we share our coverage of the Hyannis Fire Department's 16th Annual 9/11 Memorial Service.
Did you know anyone who was struck down on that day? Did you know anyone when the towers fell away? I'd never met a single one, but always I'll recall they were Americans and we knew them all.
Today, we pause to remember the lives taken from us 16 years ago and to reflect on all that has transpired as a result. In 2001, we pledged to never forget, and today we were all holding true to that.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that
that was unforeseen. Such terrible acts were cruel and mean. There was no warning to the men or women that this building would collapse around 10. You were called for help when you were needed most. Into the flames you became engrossed. You went in instead of running away, but nothing could possibly prepare you for that day. Death and danger can come with any call. I wonder if you were aware you'd be claimed once and for all. The city became engulfed in smoke and dust. Who could ever do this? We all wondered in disgust. 343 firefighters lost. Your bravery came at a large cost. 343 who were family members and friends who will never get to see each other again. But now we can all gather around Ground Zero, remembering all of our heroes. A new patriotism had arose. America's resilience that surely shows. 343, our heroes, you will always be. Thank you.
Oh God, we remember before you this day our brothers and sisters lost on September 11, 2001. We thank you for their example of courage and sacrifice. In your boundless compassion, console their families, friends, co-workers, and all who mourn their loss. Give us faith to see the gate of eternal life, so that in quiet confidence we may continue our journey and serve with honor, dignity, and courage. Amen.
Brother, when you weep for me, remember that it was meant to be. Lay me down when you leave. Remember that I'll be at your sleeve. In every dark and choking hall, I'll be there as you slowly crawl. On every roof in driving snow, I'll hold your coat and you will know. In cellars hot with searing heat, at windows where a gate you meet, in closets where young children hide, you'll know I'll be at your side. The house from which I now respond is overstaffed with heroes gone. Men who answered one last bell, did the job, and did it well. As firemen, we understand that death's a card dealt in our hand. A card we hope to never play, but one we hold there anyway. That card is something we ignore as we crawl across a weakened floor. For we know that we're the only prayer for anyone that might be there. So as you wipe your tears, remember the joy I knew throughout the years. As I did the job I love to do, I pray that thought will see you through.
In New York City, among many other places, the bell signal 5555, played throughout firehouses, signifies that a firefighter has lost their life in the line of duty. Please rise as firefighter Paul Medeiros holds the signal 5555, followed by Amazing Grace, played by Lieutenant Cameron, in memory of those lost.
Yeah, reset. Hump!
Now let's find out what's happening around town in today's community calendar. Are you a member of the Barnstable High School class of 1977? If so, your 40th high school reunion is just around the corner. The reunion will take place on Saturday, October 21st at the Cape Codder in Hyannis. There will also be a meetup on Friday night on the 20th, as well as a golf outing on Saturday afternoon. For more information or to sign up, go to www.eventbrite.com and search for Barnstable. The Wings of Freedom Tour will be hosted at the Barnstable Municipal Airport this weekend on the East Ramp. The event is great for all ages to explore bomber aircrafts inside and out. The walk-through tours will be held on the 15th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. and the tours on the 16th and 17th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. No reservations are needed for the tours. Ticket prices for a tour is $15 for adults and $5 for children 12 and under. For more information, please visit www.cfdn.org. Now let's take a look at this week's board committee and commission schedule. Thanks for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow with another great show for you. We will have our part 2 in our Cape Tech Vote series, and we will check in with Barnstable County Register of Deeds Jack Mead. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Beal.